With volume profile, we can create a number of scenarios that are potential. And so when we're sitting in that spot, let's say we're right at the edge of the profit tent on our butterfly, and we want to know, man, it's getting along. It's like 230, 245. Should we hold it out? Is there a chance that it's going to go up or down? What are the odds? What will I do if it does go to this level or down to this level? Can I feel confident that it'll hold or not? And so that's what volume profile does for us. Now, I know that a lot of traders use volume profile in a session-oriented way. So they'll look at the session profile, and from that, they try to determine the support and resistance areas or whether or not we're going to continue with the trending market or not. And by and large, I'm going to say this. Session profiles on a volume profile for a day trader is absolutely useless. I believe that it is no more useful than Fibonacci or Elliott wave, which I believe are nothing more than numerology just made up. And I feel the same way about session profile because it was born out of market profile. And market profile was made very popular by Dalton and others. And it was supposed to sort of enlighten people about how markets and how market theory and auction theory should work. And I say it's all bunk, quite frankly. There's no real statistical evidence that any of the patterns that they've come up with show any significance. And I can say this with absolute authority because I've actually created strategies, literally hundreds of strategies over time, and traded tens of millions of dollars with these strategies and these concepts in mind, and have never really found anything of real import that you can hang your hat on. However, over the past 7 years or so, I discovered something within volume profile that was quite unique, that was way apart from session profiles, and that was the visible range. When I started looking at the visible range, and you'll know what I'm talking about in TradingView, the visible range aspect of volume profile in TradingView means that anything that is visible within the chart, it'll create a profile for that. Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, does that mean do I look at a day, a week, a month, a year, a decade? Well, it turns out that the most powerful aspects of volume profile are when you look at volume, abrupt changes in volume that repeat themselves over years and years. And I know that that might sound a little odd, but there's a very famous mathematician. I've known about this mathematician for many, many years because I've always been into math, but it wasn't until recently that I discovered some academic work that he had done, and then other people that followed on with it. He had come up with this idea of systems memory, that within natural systems, actually he was studying water basins. Who I'm speaking of is Benoit Mandelbrot, and you may be familiar with him as the person who created the Mandelbrot set. That's those graphics, those really swirly graphics that no matter how deep you go into it, it's constantly more to it. Or fractal geometry, that person. Well, he's considered one of the most brilliant mathematicians of our time, of all time, quite frankly. And he came up with this idea, or really it's more than an idea, a hypothesis that's been proven out, of system memory, and originally looked at it observing natural water basins and how water tended to achieve a certain level regardless of the amount of rainfall. And it seemed that the levels that it achieved were things that repeated year in, year out based on catastrophic events that happened over the course of decades. And he called this system memory. Of course, he was very into the stock market, and he developed a very similar theory, or an analog to that, and that is market memory. So what that really means is that the market over time, in the same way that a basin, a water basin, will maybe through flood zones or other things create these indelible marks in the landscape that cause water and the flow of water to behave in certain ways. He found the same thing happen with volume. So where volume would abruptly change, it seems that that became persistent from one year to the next, decade to decade. And you can see this very clearly when you look at a volume profile over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years.